Let's review. Let's review slope from 2 points. Given 2 points, if you're asked to find the slope, we're going to use the formula m equals, we're going to subtract the y coordinates on the top and our x coordinates on the bottom. So let's look at the ordered pairs in the example. I'm going to start with the first y coordinate, which is 7, and I'm going to write that number here. Remember, my y's go on the top, my x's go on the bottom. I'm now going to take that same ordered pair, and I'm going to take my 9, and I'm going to write it right below here. Next thing I'm going to do is I am going to put minus signs, because that's what's in my formula. Then I'm going to look at my other ordered pair. My y in the second ordered pair is negative 13, so I'm going to write negative 13. And my x in the second ordered pair is positive 3. So I subtracted my y coordinates on the top and my x coordinates on the bottom. I want you may use a calculator, I want you to notice the double negative sign on the top. Okay, so this double negative right here becomes a plus sign. So I have on the top 7 plus 13, which is 20. On the bottom, I have 9 minus 3, which is 6. All I have to do now is simplify that. I can divide the numerator and denominator both by 2, and I get 10 over 3, and that's my slope, 10 over 3. Now let's look at finding slope from a graph. If we look at the first graph, that line is going in a positive direction. So what I like to do is I like to pick 2 good points. So I'm noticing that this is a good point right here, and as I go up the line, I see this is another good point. Okay, so then I'm going to count my rise over my run. So to get from this point to this point, the first one to the second one, I went up 1 over 2. So my slope is 1 over 2. Okay, if I look at my second line, this line is going in a negative direction. Okay, so I know it's negative. So right away I just put a negative sign in my answer. I like starting at this point right here. This is going to be my first point. And I'm going to travel up the red line until I find another good point, which I notice is going to be right about there. So again, I'm going to do my rise over my run. And I like to start at the point that's closest to the bottom of the graph. So I'm going to go up, 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 3 and over 4. So my slope would be negative 3 over 4. Now, if I had to simplify these, I would. And that's it. Next, we're going to look at slope-intercept form, which is y equals mx plus b. When the equation is written with the y by itself, some number in front of the x, plus or minus another number, that's called slope-intercept form. I wrote the m in blue, that's my slope. B is my y-intercept. So here are 2 equations that look like y equals mx plus b. They're asking me to find the slope and the y-intercept of each. So if I look at the first one, my slope is the number in front of the x, which is negative 3. You don't write the x, you just write the number in front of it. My y-intercept is the number that comes after the plus sign, which is 15. If it's a plus 15, we just write 15. We don't have to put the plus sign. If we look at the next example, my slope in this one is the number, or in this case, the fraction in front of the x, which is 1/3. My y-intercept is the number here by itself. Now, it has a minus sign in front of it, so I have to take the negative sign, so it's negative 11. Now let's look at the first graph. The first graph, these are from the previous page. Again, to find the slope, we take the rise over the run, okay? And this graph right here, it has a negative slope. So I picked my 2 points from before. To get my rise, I went up 3 over 4. So my slope would be negative 3 over 4. My y-intercept is where the red line crosses the y-axis, which hopefully you definitely can see at that green dot, is at +3. Okay, and if I had to identify my slope and my y-intercept in the next graph, same thing. For my slope, I'm going to pick this point, and let's say this point. I know it's positive. My rise is 1. My run is 2, so 1/2. My y-intercept is where this red line crosses the y-axis, so it's at the green dot, which would be -4. Lastly, we're going to review graphing lines in slope-intercept form. So we're first going to plot the y-intercept. And in our first equation, my y-intercept is -2. So I'm going to find -2 on the y-axis. Remember, the y-axis goes up and down, and I am going to put my first dot at -2. So -2 is my y-intercept. Then we're going to use the slope to find more ordered pairs, or more points on our line. My slope is 2/3. Remember, the top number tells me to go up or down, and the bottom number tells me to go left or right. Since they're both positive, I know I'm going to be going 2 up and 3 to the right from where I just put my first point. So let me change the color so you can see. I'm going to go up 1, 2, 3 to the right. 1, 2, 3. I'm going to put a dot. I can do that again. Up 1, 2, 1, 2, 3 to the right. Then what you should do, and again, I'm going to do this as best that I can right now. I'm going to use a different color so you can see it. I'm going to connect these dots with a straight line. Again, if I was doing this in class on paper, I'd be doing this with a ruler. Okay, so there is my line. Let's look at the next problem. Y equals -1/2 plus 4. So my y-intercept is the +4, is +4. So that's where my first dot goes on the y-axis, at +4 on the y-axis. Next, I'm going to use my slope. Notice my slope in this case is -1/2. Okay, -1/2. Okay, so notice I wrote that so the negative sign was with the 1. So if the -1 would mean to go down, which is what it says right there. And then the 2 tells me to go right. Okay, I usually like to put the negative sign in the top. Just easier to go up or down first. So I'm going to go from the point that I have there, use a different color again. I'm going to go down 1, right 2, and I'm going to put a dot. And I can do that again, down 1, right 2. Down 1, right 2, till I run out of room. Then I'm going to do my best to draw a line as I turn my paper to try to get a straight line out of this. Terrible line. It's a terrible line there. You got it. Okay, so there's my line in yellow. Okay, so I'm going to give you now some practice problems to do on these. Please complete the Google form. Also, feel free to refer back to this video and these notes anytime you need help on one of the problems. Good luck.